Hello, everyone, and happy Friday. It's lovely to be here today. It's such an amazing day in London. I don't know about where you are, but we are so lucky here in the UK, or at least London, where I'm based. And Claire just confirmed that she also has amazing weather. So, sunny day. We are happy. We are happy. It's a great Friday. And welcome to another Be Legendary Fireside Chat, this time with Claire. Thank you, Claire, for joining us today, and welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me on.
Yeah, thank you. So, just a bit about Claire. Claire has been working in HR for over 15 years. So, over 15 years experience in HR. And she started as an HR administrator. Wow, amazing. And now she has a business, her own business called Elevate. And she has been in a journey over the last 15 years, um, moving through a career, growing, climbing the ladder, and now she has her own business. This is amazing. And I would love to hear about Claire and her experiences and share her wisdom with us. So, Claire, thank you again for being here. And I would love to know what inspired you to work in HR, first of all, because I also work in HR, so I would love to know.
I think, like most people that work in HR, I completely fell into it. I probably didn't even know what it was when I started the role as a HR administrator.
Yeah.
So I'd left university. I had taken on a temporary role as a receptionist, and I'd been there a couple of months, and they said, "Hey, we're looking for a HR administrator. Do you fancy taking the job?" And I was like, "Sure, why not?" Didn't really know what it was.
What it was.
So yes, but then I just found that when I started working in HR, it really just suited my skills, my personality. Just, we all say it's a bit cliche. We love working with people, having conversations with everyone, and so yeah, it just naturally suited me and my personality. I stayed in HR, and here I am a few years later.
And tell me, in terms of when we talk about moving and stepping the ladder in terms of career, um, have you found that it was an easy journey moving from HR administrator to where you are today?
No, it's not an easy journey, and I'm sure other people will agree. I think there have been a couple of big leaps. So I think moving from HR administrator to HR advisor happened quite naturally because of the company that I was in. I was learning, I was dealing with disciplinaries and ER issues as a HR administrator. So the progression into HR advisor happened quite naturally. I think the biggest jump for me was when I moved from HR advisor to HR business partner.
Okay.
Into HR advisor, you're sitting there in a very reactive role, answering the phone, all these ER problems, giving advice. And I'm kind of looking at this business partner role going, I want to do that. I want to do what they're doing. But it's much more strategic. And I actually took that jump from HR advisor to HR business partner whilst I was working at TUI. So I was very, very lucky to be in that position because I was hugely supported. Growth and development was a real focus for TUI. So I was very lucky to be in that situation. But it was hard because I had to demonstrate that I actually had the skills and capability to do that job. But yeah, I think it's the moving from the reactive space to being more proactive and more strategic. That was the biggest jump for me.
Can you explain a bit further what you mean by being more strategic? Because the word strategy, we use it everywhere, every time now. What does it mean to be more strategic to you?
Yeah, so I think I remember sitting there as a HR business partner and it was all very quiet. I was like, this is weird. My phone is like ringing off the hook. Managers aren't chasing me. They're over there chasing that HR advisor. I'm like, this is quite bizarre. So I guess the first thing about being in a business partner role is that you are creating your role. You are creating the work. So that means that you're talking to stakeholders. you are understanding the business, you're understanding the challenges, you're reviewing data. So to be strategic, it sounds quite grand, and it's probably a bit scary as well. People are like, what's this strategic? Being strategic is looking forward. It's having that forward focused view, and I guess you have that by looking at the data, understanding the challenges. So then you can start to go, okay, so what solutions, what initiatives do we need to put in place that are going to be suitable for those kind of future needs? So it was a very bizarre time moving into that business partner role, making that transition. But for anyone that is thinking, how do I do that, and how do I become, get into that space? It does feel scary, and it sounds scary, but the best thing you can do is get a mentor, someone that is going to sit alongside you and help you on that journey. You don't have to do it alone. People have done it before us, so yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes in these situations, when there's a change or a leap to something new and that we see as bigger, there's always that fear, right? Will I be able to do it, or won't be able to do it? And that, oh, it's strategic. What's that? And if you put that in simpler terms, as you say, it's being more curious, it's being proactive, is trying to understand, it's looking forward. So yeah, I absolutely agree. And do you, as a female professional, felt that it was harder for you, uh, looking to, if you compare it with other male professionals?
I don't think I've ever felt it in terms of progression and being able to change my roles. I've definitely felt it from a salary perspective.
Interesting.
Absolutely. I feel like I've had to ask for pay rises. I've had to fight harder to demonstrate the value that I bring. Working in HR, we see everyone's salaries, right? So, we have that internal comparison. Not that I would ever use it in a conversation, but I know what other people are paid. And I have felt that my pay at times has been lower than it should be.
Yeah. And did you feel that there was reasonable justification for that, or did you challenging it? Did you have the opportunity to challenge that?
I've always asked for pay rises. I've always been quite bold, and I've said that to people that I mentor, actually. I love the saying, like, don't ask, don't get, right? They can only
it's true.
Yeah, I have asked for pay rises, not because I've never ever said I deserve a pay rise because they're being paid more than me. I've always tried to get pay rises on my own merit and the value that I bring to the organization. But yeah, I think if you're concerned about your pay, you should be saying to your manager, how do I get to that point? Tell me what my goals, what my objectives, how can I achieve a bigger salary? Just ask and have that conversation, which I know is uncomfortable at times, but definitely loving.
Yes, that's a great advice, because it is uncomfortable. And I work with a lot of female professionals that they have two issues. Either they are not able to ask because they don't have the confidence, or if they ask, they are very uncomfortable and get really down if they receive a no, which happens sometimes, right? And I find curious. I have a friend that once told me, what's the worst that can happen when you ask is for you to getting a no. And it's fine if you get a no. Just be comfortable of getting a no as well, because it can happen. Then it's just how you respond to that no, right? You have a couple of options if the answer is no. Either you can accept the no, resign to the no, and just do nothing, or you can find a different role, or you can, as you say, speak to your manager. Okay, it's a no today. What it needs to be done? What do we need to do to be a yes tomorrow? And work towards that.
Absolutely that. Like, just because it's a no now, it doesn't mean that it's a no in the future. So yeah, we all have the choice and the decisions that we can make. Do we want to go and look for another job, or do we stay where we are? When I've been in situations like that, I've generally stayed. I haven't ever left a job because I felt my salary wasn't right, because there's so much more to work than a salary. But yeah, keep asking, keep having those conversations.
Yeah, it's true. But it's also okay, because Because if for some reason you believe that salary is a good reason for you to leave your role to move to another organization or to another, it's also fine. It's nothing wrong with it. But I agree with you. Sometimes, and I would say most of the times, there's more to a role than just the salary. Much more than a role. Um, what do you think are some of the unique challenges that we as women face in our careers?
That's probably an easy one for me to answer because I felt some of these challenges. So I have one son. So I went on maternity leave, and oh my goodness, being a mother and working in any job, frankly. I was going to say to have a career, but I think working any job with
Anything, yeah.
with a child is tough. And when I returned to work after maternity, I actually started a brand new job. I moved house, returned from maternity, and I started a new job all at the same time, which is probably a little bit bonkers, but it worked. And I was just very lucky at that time that the guy that hired me, he actually asked me if I wanted to work part-time. Wow. And I had interviewed for a full-time job, expecting to work full-time hours, and he asked me if I wanted to work part-time. I mean, this was almost 9 years ago now, 8 years ago after maternity. And I said, yeah, I'd love to actually. And I worked 4 days a week, so I only had kind of the 1 day off. But I was still working, I would say, a full-time job in 4 days a week. I had to work smarter, harder, be more effective. Every single second during those working hours is precious, so you can get your work done. I think that's probably one of the biggest challenges that I've faced through my career, just being a working parent, and probably why I've ended up with my own business now, to have ultimate flexibility and freedom so I can spend that precious time with Lucas.
Yeah, that's a real challenge, and I faced a similar challenge as well. Being a single mom, I'm a single mom, so everything was basically on my shoulders, all the weight in terms of everything. But it doesn't happen only to me, because I know that even some women, they are not single, they have partners, and most of the responsibility is their responsibility of home chores, the children, the schools, the play dates. So it's quite complicated to find that harmony and to be able to have a successful career, still taking care of yourself, and at the same time take care of your children and your partner, and have all of that. It's really, really a challenge. Uh, what were some of the strategies that you have used to overcome that in your experience?
I think this is kind of mental strength and mental agility. You have to tell yourself that you can do this. And for anyone that knows me, I'm quite a driven and determined person. And if there is adversity, I just try and work through it. I think I live my life with positivity. If there's any kind of negativity, I just push it to the side, or we move on quickly from it. So having that positive outlook on things and determination, that determination to be successful, because you can do it. Just because you have a child, that does not define you. And before I had my son, I was on this career path. I'm a HR professional. I've got like huge goals to be a HR director. I wanted the big salary. And I actually remember having a conversation with one of my managers, absolutely amazing founder. And he said to me, because we were having a conversation about being a career woman and being a mother, and he said they're not mutually exclusive. They can come together. And I knew I had his support, like 100%. If Lucas was ever poorly, or it was fine, because I had an absolutely wonderful leader that I was working with. But that really stuck with me, that you can have it all. You can do it. You just have to be flexible. But I've worked in roles where they were remote first, so working from home primarily. I would pick Lucas up at school time, 3:00, and then I'd jump on a call at 3:30. I'd open the laptop up, he's out in the garden playing football, he's happy. So just having that flexibility, that freedom, and it can work. It can be successful.
Yeah, it does work. What would you say to if you were speaking to organizations about that situation and the challenges that female professionals face? What would you say to them, to an organization, to the CEOs and leaders?
I think it's really difficult for people to truly understand what it feels like if you haven't been in that situation. And I'm guilty of that as well. Before I became a mother, I definitely thought to myself, why are they always leaving at 5:30? We've still got work to do. Well, sitting here 10 years later, I'll tell you why they're leaving at 5:30, because the nursery shuts at 6. And, you have no choice but to be there. But I didn't understand that. I didn't appreciate that when I was in my 20s. So I guess my first point is that if you haven't been through it, it's really hard to understand. So for organisations that kind of want to support mothers and kind of parents in the workplace, talk to them. Talk to them, ask them what they want, because my situation is different to your situation, and we all require flexibility in different ways. We want different things, we need different things. So I would talk to people. I mean, you don't need a blanket policy stating, we will do this. You don't need that. Just go and talk to people and say, how can we flex a little bit to make your life easier? So I was in a role where I dropped Lucas at the nursery at 8:00. My train left at 8:10. And if I didn't get that train, I would be late for work. So here's me every day running in all weathers from the nursery to the train station. Not great, but I did it for a few years. But had I had the flexibility to start at 9:30, that probably would have massively improved my life. But, hindsight's a wonderful thing. Looking back, I was very much in the mindset, I have to be there at 9:00. I need to make this work. I need to be a career woman. My career is still important, and juggling being a mother. So I was just really determined, and I made it happen, and it was fine. But my life could have been just that little bit easier in the mornings if I started at 9:30. Because
Absolutely.
the nursery doesn't open before 8:00. There's literally nothing I could do. So I think to go and talk to people and ask them what they need, what would benefit them.
Yes, I love that. And I would add that you mentioned it very well. It's parents. It's not only women, because I still believe there's a lot of stigma around women having to be the ones that need that flexibility, that need to go to pick up the children. But men can also do it, and organizations should give that opportunity to men as well. There's still around a bit of the shame that men can also have that role. And I do believe part of it is organizations that are not open and do not give that opportunity to men as well. So it's both, it's parents. Having those conversations with parents.
Yeah, I agree. And there are single dads out there as well, just as there are single mothers. So it's all parents. And I think there has been a shift in fathers taking more of the responsibility. I've definitely seen that. But there is still this sense of, well, can your wife not pick up the sick child that they have to deal with? And that's a horrible situation for a father to be in. I think just less judgment and more support, I think, is what is needed generally.
Yeah, and it's easier for us to be here and chat and say it than being done. But a lot of work, as you say, has been done. Much more needs to continue. Another question, because you've mentioned as well about the manager that really supported you in your journey. What is your view in terms of the importance of managers and leaders in the career journey, not only of female professionals, but of everyone?
Huge, absolutely huge. And I think managers generally have I would say responsibility, but it's not a responsibility, but it's almost like they're in a privileged position. And I felt like I've been in a privileged position in HR where you can impact someone's life. as a manager, you have the ability to impact your team's life. Now that's huge, right?
Yeah.
So there's a statistic, isn't it? We work 90,000 hours in our careers, kind of on average, or something. 90,000 hours.
That's a lot.
That manager has the opportunity to make that great or make it not great, you know, and I'm sure we've experienced both. So from a development perspective, there are simple things like having one-to-ones, like just have a one-to-one. It's not that difficult. Have a one-to-one, talk to people, ask them what their aspirations are, ask them what they need support with, set them stretch goals, provide opportunities for them. And I would say that I've been hugely lucky with the managers that I've had. I worked at TUI for 7 years, and my manager there was just absolutely amazing. When I was a HR advisor, the level of support and encouragement that I had was unbelievable. And I also had access to a mentor that didn't work in HR. She worked in the airline. And looking back, I can absolutely say that both my manager and my mentor played a pivotal part in my development and my growth, because you don't know what you don't know, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You need people to kind of show you the way. And I had the desire and the hunger, and, you know, tell me what I need to do and I'll do it, and tell me what project I need to be on and I'll be there. But they provided opportunities for me, so I could get that growth and increase my knowledge and my skills. So yeah, I think managers are just hugely important to any kind of career progression for individuals.
Yeah, I agree with you. Managers and leaders, and I would agree. You said maybe not responsible, but I would think so. I think managers and leaders have the responsibility. I think you said it right the first. Yeah, we do have responsibility because it's a huge thing when you work with someone and you can actually impact how they feel. If you impact how they feel, you will impact how they will act.
Yeah.
You will impact their actions, their behaviors. You will impact everything, the work they do, how they feel when they get at home. If everything goes wrong at work, it will be impact their life with their family, their children. So there's a huge, because you can't disconnect both. There's a connection between everything you do. You are at work most of your day, then you go home, or you are at home working from home. So there's a connection. You can't just disconnect. It's not easy. So I agree with you. And a word I usually like, and I heard it from a leader I work with when asking what it's the important thing for you as a leader, and he just said care. Care for people. If you care for your people, you are a great leader already. It's just the basic thing, care.
And it's in the small stuff. So for example, an employee phones up and says, I can't make it in today, my child is poorly. And the manager responds with, okay, but you'll need to make the time back. And a different manager would say, I hope they're okay, look after them today.
Yeah.
And it's just a small conversation,
It's just
but
different.
huge impact in kind of how they've responded. And it sits with you. Like if you have a manager that cares and gives you that flexibility and you know is supportive, that employee is going to be loyal. That employee will want to work there. But if you say, oh well, you'll have to make the time back, it's these little things that will just chip away. You've just lost a little bit of engagement. The relationship has just broken down a teeny tiny bit. And if you continue like that, you'll just end up losing people. I mean, at the end of the day, we're all just people. We're all just trying to make a living.
Yeah.
And, you know, we want to live our life as best as we can. And I think it's a huge thing we need to remember. Employees are people. They're not robots. Yeah. They're not
numbers.
People. Yeah, they're people. So we need to treat them like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that small example because it's so simple. It's just a different way of saying something. It's just you say it differently. You could actually say, as you said, oh, I hope everything goes well. Take care of your child wherever, and wherever needs to be done, we will do it. Let us know. We are here for you. It's simple, but it does make a huge difference because
Girls.
it happens to me, and I'm blessed where I work now. That's exactly what happens, and that's what my leader tells me. Just take care wherever you need to. We're here for you. Just
Yeah.
tell us what we need to do. If there's anything at work that needs to be done, we are here for you. We will do it. Take care of whatever you need to take care, and that's huge.
Yeah.
It's you feel cared about. Yeah,
How
it's
you
huge.
create loyal employees.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, we're almost. I'm just looking at the time. Almost finished, but I have another question for you. What advice would you give to your younger self today, knowing what you know today?
Yeah, it's interesting you asked that because I set Elevate up because I was getting lots of questions from people at the start of their HR career. So I actually spend a lot of my time mentoring HR professionals and talking to people in the membership. I think if you want to grow a career in HR, I guess there's a couple of things. The first one is understand people. So how do you do that? You can learn personality profiling that kind of takes you into individual personalities and dynamics. Spend time speaking to people. So I would, as a HR person, I'd actually just block time in my diary, walk around the office and talk to people. That was a huge part of my job. So building relationships, building rapport, like don't underestimate the importance of doing that. And the second thing is just build your knowledge all the time. I'm still learning 15 years in. I'm sure you're the same, right? Legislation keeps changing. So be a sponge, just be a sponge and learn as much as you can. There's so many different ways that we can learn, grow and develop these days. And it's all online. So yeah, definitely pick that up. So yeah, it's the working with people and the knowledge in HR. If you figure those two things out, then you'll have a strong career.
That's perfect. I love that. And just one last thing. What would you be the one step that after our call you would suggest everyone listening to us, either live or on the recording, after our call, one small step action that they can take? I'm a believer in action, by the way. That's why I'm asking.
No, I'm an action taker as well. So I actually commented on it the other day. Well, I need to say sign up to the Elevate membership because you will get all the development and growth you need. But aside from that, there's a lovely podcast called HR Coffee Time, and you'll learn a lot. There's some really amazing guest speakers on there. So yeah, I think it's fortnightly that it comes out. So go and check that out.
Thank you. I love that. So thank you very much. I really, really enjoyed our conversation, Claire, and to learn more about you and your experiences and your journey. So thank you for joining us. If any of those that are listening to us or will listen on the recording want to reach out to you, how can they reach out to you? The best way?
LinkedIn. I spend a lot of time on LinkedIn.
Yeah. Me too. Yeah. So if you want to reach out to Claire or myself, we are on LinkedIn. Just DM us, and we are happy to answer and have a chat. So thank you, Claire. So thank you so much for joining us, and I will see everyone next month for another one of our Fireside Chat conversations. Thank you, everyone. Have a great weekend.
Thanks.
Thanks.